The first product that's probably worth your money as a homeschooling family is a microscope. Now the question is, do you buy a traditional one like this, or do you buy a microscope that attaches to your phone? And the answer is probably this one. And before I tell you why, in this video you're going to learn why you're going to want to buy this science kit and not that one, while the Life of Fred mathematics curriculum is probably the best one you've never heard of, and other purchases that I think are worth the budget for a homeschooling family, and some things you're going to want to avoid. At least I think you should avoid them anyway. Getting back to the phone attachment microscope and why I think it's better than a traditional one, it's tiny, it's relatively inexpensive, and it's actually powerful enough to magnify the skin of an onion so you can see the individual plant cells on the layer of skin that you peel off. Plant cells are relatively large compared to others, but the fact that you can take this $18 attachment, put it on your phone, and let your kids visualize the individual cells is pretty remarkable. Kids love looking at things under a microscope, but the problem is with traditional microscopes, you have to put things on slides. And for grade school age kids, especially middle school age kids, that can be a little bit tedious, and oftentimes I wonder if the juice is worth the squeeze. Middle school age kids really just want to magnify things, and that's why I recommend this over this. Now, if you have high school age kids, I will leave a link in the description for this. We've used it and it works fine, but I would start off with this, especially if your kids are a little bit younger. Your kids will be able to take it outside, look at plants, look at insects, all the things. And at the time of making this video on Amazon, it was $18, and this is probably the best bargain in the entire video. Next up, let's talk about snap circuits. If you combine the fun of playing with Legos with the physics of electricity, you get snap circuits. The nice thing about snap circuits is you can buy the kit that fits your budget. They have smaller kits that range from $30 ranging up to just over $100. Obviously, the more expensive kit that you buy, the more robust the pieces, giving your child the ability to get more creative and create more wild projects. They're durable, reusable, and my kids have always enjoyed learning with them. I mean playing with them. I guess my only gripe with snap circuits would be the instruction booklet that comes with it. It's really a missed opportunity to have a lot of educational material in it. So I do recommend supplementing it with a science book that I put it around. Okay, I must have left it in the house, so I'll include it in the B-roll. It's the Osborne Science Book. Bright, colorful, tasty to read, and full of just about every science topic that you're going to discuss. For example, on the topic of electricity, you can see here all the juicy science goodness that your kids will be able to read. And so you're aware, you can find links to this book and everything that I'm going to mention in the description below. Next up on the list will be something for biology and human anatomy. But before we talk about which anatomy skeleton to buy, if you want to teach science but don't feel comfortable doing it, you should know there are quite a few subscription services out there that can help you get through the subject. Subscription boxes from Mel Science Company, Kiwi, Mark Rober. We've done all three of them. The reality is they all have great individual attributes. You really can't go wrong choosing one and just sticking with it. I will say Kiwi has the most variety. If you know you've got a child that's interested in science, I would probably do that one because it's going to give you the most diverse subject matter to choose from. If you've got a child who you don't know is interested in science, physics, or engineering, I would probably go the Mark Rober route. His kits are more engaging, and for somebody who may or may not be interested, just Mark Rober's presence in the zeitgeist and his excellent teaching ability is going to keep your kids' attention. So if you really don't know if your kid likes science, Mark Rober. If you've got a kid who really enjoys science and you want to grow that passion, Kiwi. Either way, Mel Science, Mark Rober, Kiwi, because there's so much competition in this space, they're all pretty good. All right, back to biology. It's always nice to have an anatomy reference when teaching the subject of human biology. Here, I have the squishy human body that I use with my son. It says on the box for 8 and up, but my son was 5, my daughter was 12. They both enjoyed it at the time. It comes with a 24-page anatomy book and some simple anatomy tools like forceps, great for interacting with the human body in a 3D space. The organ booklet that comes with it, it's good enough. It breaks things down into organ groups, which is appropriate. So if you want to, you can focus on one organ group a week and really prolong getting your money's worth out of the product. Currently, it's $30 on Amazon. The second human anatomy model that I have is called the Interactive Human Body. Instead of a workbook, this comes with posters dedicated to organ systems. It doesn't come with any forceps for that true anatomy feeling, especially for an older kid, high school, that's probably not necessary. If I'm splitting hairs, I would probably go with the Interactive Human Body. It's fully mobile, the educational materials are slightly more comprehensive, and I think from a cost comparison, they're pretty similar. Okay, let's talk about math. We almost exclusively use Life of Fred. Honestly, my wife does all the math with the kids because that's her background and she has a PhD in math education, so she's pretty good at filtering out all the bad math materials, and for the last several years, she has used Life of Fred. My wife recommends the Life of Fred series for a very particular scenario, and that's if you're willing to start the series at the beginning with your child's mathematics education, because the story really is about the life of Fred, and the book incorporates the mathematical concepts into his life. So it starts at the very beginning, and you might think, well, I'll just skip forward until I'm at multiplication or at the concept where my children are at. But the problem is it's very circular, So he goes back to some of the earlier concepts to keep things refreshing. And if you start in the middle, you're not going to understand what he's referencing that they did previously. So if you're just starting out and wondering what math curriculum you're going to want to use and your kids are young, highly recommend Life of Fred. If you're a little bit older, you may want to go on to something else. Finally, there are the Thames and Cosmos physics and chemistry kits. I have done a lot of these kits with my kids. Some are great, and some are garbage like this wind power one. Avoid this one at all costs. If you want to know why, you can watch the dedicated video I did on it, but it's a terrible kit for a variety of reasons. The general physics kit, the Physics Pro kit, this is what you're going to want to spend your money on. They are more expensive, but the physics concepts are more broad. The educational materials are far more comprehensive. For example, the Physics Pro kit has 17 experiments in it. You can do one every other week and it's going to last you the entire year. I definitely would do the basics physics workshop with your kids who are in middle school before you go on to the Physics Pro, but these are great kits. They're durable, they last, you can reuse them with multiple kids. This is where you want to spend your money. Hard pass. It's the same thing with the chemistry kits, the C1000, the C3000. You can spread these experiments throughout the school year and get it to last the entire year. The problem with the chemistry kits though is they're not as reusable as the physics kits. Once you're out of the reagents, you're kind of done with it. But that being said, you can get it to last throughout the entire year and it does make it worthwhile. Not as reusable, but it's equally as comprehensive. Those are the kits you're going to want to do. My video topics on this channel are all over the place, but about 10 to 20% of them are homeschooling based. So if you enjoyed it or got anything out of it, like it and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.